Hola! Today in Dr. Doug's Quick Spanish, we're going to be taking a look at the pretérito, which is the past tense in Spanish. I'm not going to look at the difference between the pretérito and the imperfecto. That's in another video. This is just the formation of the pretérito. So first, we have our three verb types. We have AR verbs. Let me grab that. AR verbs. So like hablar, we start with yo hablé. Tú hablaste. Él y usted habló. Nosotros hablamos, ellos hablaron. And then ER and IR verbs have the exact same ending. So let's go with comer. Yo comí, comiste, comió, comimos, comieron. So one of the things you're going to recognize right away is that the nosotros forms have pretty much the exact same endings as the present tense. So how do you tell the difference? You tell the difference by context, right? You have to look at the context, decide whether it's the past or the present. Another one that's important is the ARO. If you leave the accent off, it's the present tense yo form. For example, yo hablo is present tense yo, él habló, right? That's the past tense él. So you got to be really careful with those two, right? So those are our basics with the pretérito. We also have verbs that are highly irregular. Ser and ir are both actually conjugated exactly the same and they're highly irregular. It's yo fui, fuiste, fue, fuimos, fueron. How do you know if it's ser or ir? You look at the context. Usually ir will be followed by the preposition a, right? To go to somewhere, and that's how you know the difference. Ser, ir, highly irregular. Hacer is another one that's irregular, although it's not as irregular as you think it would be, right? It's hice, hiciste, hizo, hicimos, hicieron. Right? There we go. Ser, ir, ver. Ver is almost regular except it has no accents. Vi, viste, vio, vimos, vieron. Easy. And then there's also dar, which is actually treated like an ER verb without accents. So it's di, diste, dio, no accent there, dimos, dieron. So those are our basics. But wait, there's more. So we also have stem changing verbs in the preterite tense. Stem changing. And we also have stem changing verbs in the present tense, right? In the present tense, you guys remember, it's the boot forms, right? Nosotros doesn't change. Well, in the pretérito, I'm going to call it the sandal form, the sandal verb, because it only changes in the él and the ellos form. It only changes in the third person. And it's only, so any verb in the present tense that ends in ir, that stem changes, will also change in the past tense, but only in the sandal forms, and they also change a different way as if it wasn't complicated enough. So there are verbs that change E to I. So for example, let's go with vestir. Spelled that wrong. Vestir. So we know it's a stem changing verb in the present tense. It changes E to I. And we're going to go with el. The el form is in the sandal, so it's going to be vistió, right? What about tú? And let's go with preferir. So we know in the present tense it changes E to IE. It is an IR verb, right? So it changes in the pretérito as well. But does it fall within the sandal? It does not. The tú form does not fall within the sandal, so it will be preferiste. But prefirió. Who? So there's E to I and there's also O to U. So let's take dormir. So the two questions to ask yourself. Is it an IR verb? Yes. Does it change in the present? Yes. In the present, it changes O to UE. And then the third question is, what is the subject? In this case, I'm going to give it the ellos subject, would be dormieron, because the ellos falls within the sandal. But if it was yo, it would be yo dormi, because the yo does not fall within the sandal. I'm going to change colors here because I'm getting a little bit confused. Not confused, but there's a lot going on the screen. Okay, so we have the stem changing verbs. Then we have a whole bunch of verbs which change their root, and kind of radically. For example, I'm not going to give you all of them. For example, there's tener, which in the pretérito changes its root to tuv. Andar, which changes to anduv. Decir, which changes to di, right? And the endings for all of these are iste, o, imos, ieron. Ieron, the I gets dropped if this is J, right? So it's dijeron, not dijeron. But if this is not J, for example here, anduvieron, the I doesn't get dropped. There are a whole bunch of these verbs, and I suggest if you look in the textbook, you'll see them, or just look them up online. What's notable here is, regardless of if it's an ER verb or an AR verb, they all have the exact same ending, and none of these forms have accents. Okay, so I'm going to move down a little bit to our next section. Let's block this off. Then there are verbs with a spelling change, so we're going to go with construir. Okay, so the first thing we're going to say, oh, it's an IR verb. Does it change? That means it could be stem changing. Does it change in the present tense? Construir does not change in the present tense. We don't have to worry about that. So let's go with the yo form. Yo construí. Regular, right? Tú construiste. Ella construyó. Construyó. Remember what we said about that, with the present progressive, that if we have three vowels in a row and the middle one is I, what do? We change the I to a Y. And this is for fluidity reasons. Construyó, right? Same way with leer, to read. Leyó, leyeron. And this spelling change only happens in the third person forms. And this, guys, is the pretérito. There are a few more exceptions, but these are the very major ones, and this should help you make your way through. Thanks for watching. Nos vemos.